everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting yet another reading vlog for you guys, and I'm so excited because I have quite a few plans for this reading vlog, because I have quite a few books that I would like to read in this video. I have a new crochet project that I'm starting in this video, and most importantly, me and Cass are going on a little trip, cabin, getaway situation at the end of next week, which I'm also going to be putting in this vlog. So just a lot of things that I'm very excited for that I really wanted to share with you guys. So let us get into it, but before I do that, I do quickly want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Ana Luisa. Obviously, I've worked with Ana Luisa many times already, but if you don't know, they are a jewelry company with so many amazing pieces that I wear constantly. They also have a really amazing sustainability mission because they are climate and water neutral, and I know it is kind of hard to find sustainable jewelry items sometimes, and it can also be kind of expensive looking for sustainable items sometimes as well. So Ana Luisa is the perfect place to go because they have a very wide selection of pieces starting as low as $39. And their pieces are also strength and humidity tested, so they are going to last you a very long time. As I've mentioned before, I have pieces from them that I got almost 3 years ago at this point, and they still look as good as the day that I got them. Also, seeing as Black Friday is currently upon us, I believe it is kind of the perfect time to go check it out because your favorite jewelry item could be on sale. They're having sales of up to 30% off, so I highly recommend going to check them out right now. And they are introducing a new program called AL Luxe where members can get an extra 5% off of their jewelry and extra perks as well, such as early access to sales and new pieces. So lots of exciting stuff going on. If you want to check them out, I would obviously highly recommend, but let me show you the couple of pieces that they sent to me to show you guys in this video because I'm very excited about them, naturally. The first two being the bracelets that I'm currently wearing. I have so many of their silver bracelets and I do wear them all the time, so I'm really glad that I have two more to kind of add into my rotation, but here are the two that I have today. This kind of bubbly looking one is the Colette bracelet, and then I have the Lisa bracelet on top with this cute little heart dangly thing on the end of the chain, which I think is very cute. And then I also have this ring on my ring finger called the Ivor ring in silver. I think this one is really cute, and I wear a lot of silver rings, so again, I'm really happy to have another one to add to my stack. I have this one that I got from Ana Luisa a while ago on my pointer finger, and I love this one. I wear it every day. So again, if you want to check Ana Luisa out, I will have a link to them down below, as well as links to all of the pieces that I showed you as well. So thank you so much to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video and supporting me and my channel, and to you guys watching this video as well for always supporting me and my channel. I appreciate you all so much. So with that being said, let me get into talking about the TBR that I have for this vlog, which I cannot wait for because I'm currently in the middle of one of these books and I'm really liking it so far, and then the others I'm just generally excited for naturally. So let's talk about it. I'm gonna save the one that I'm in the middle of for last, so let me talk about the other three that I'm thinking I'm gonna read in this video. The first one being Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. This is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. I read the first one last November, so I wanted to go ahead and read the second one this November, and then maybe I will actually finish out the series next year. We'll see. But I'm very interested to get into this one. Daughter of Smoke and Bone was not a favorite book of mine by any stretch of the imagination. I liked the first part, but the second part kind of lost me, so I'm interested to see how I'm going to like the second one in the series, maybe more, hopefully. But I have heard from some of you guys that this book is rather dark, so I don't exactly know what that's gonna entail, but I'm intrigued to find out. I'm intrigued to see if I enjoy this, and I will probably be consuming the story primarily on audio while I work on my new crochet project, so I feel like that'll be kind of nice. Then the next book that I'm going to be reading in this video, I feel like is quite unexpected for me because I've given this author 2 shots already and I've not really enjoyed either of the books that I've read from them, but I wanted to give them a third try. So I'm going to be trying out Funny Story by Emily Henry. If you guys have been around for a while, I've read 2 Emily Henry books. I have thoughts about both of them, and neither of them are good thoughts. But a couple of my personal friends that have read this book have told me that maybe I should try it out, especially Elaine, because we read the first 2 books together initially, and neither of us liked them. But she read Funny Story, I think, did it come out this year? Maybe earlier this year when it came out, and she told me I should try it. So I was like, all right, I trust you on this. So I'm gonna give it a try. And then also me and Cass are going to be driving down to this cabin place together. It's like a 4-ish hour drive. So we're gonna drive there and back, obviously, which is a lot of time in the car. So I suggested that we listen to an audiobook together in that time and she agreed. So we decided to do a romance book because I feel like that would be kind of an easier listen than trying to like listen to a fantasy book together. I am a bit afraid that we might do more yapping than actual listening, which would be fine, but there's always a chance that that might happen. But the plan is to listen to Funny Story together, and I feel like the drive there and back should cover it completely. So very excited about that. I feel like it'll just be a very different reading experience, but I think it'll be fun. So definitely gonna read that one. I'm not exactly sure what Funny Story is about. I think maybe you have two couples and they are both broken up and like the people from both relationships. What is this? I don't know. You know what? I'll tell you what it's about when I start it next week. And then the last book is a big maybe, but I'm thinking I might pick up Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I just know I want to pick this book up before the end of the year, so if I'm feeling this one, I might pick it up, but I might swap this out for a different book later in the vlog. We'll see, so I won't say too much about it yet. But this is also an option. And then the last book is the book that I'm currently in the middle of. I know, I feel like this is a lot of books, but trust me, it's fine. The last book I started very briefly at the end of my last vlog, and I was really enjoying it, and I'm continuing to really enjoy it, so let's talk about Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I'm currently about, I think, 60 or so pages into this, potentially. I don't have a bookmark in here, which is unhelpful, but this has been so much fun so far, and I'm having the best time. I don't even care if I give this book a 5-star. I just know that I'm having a great time right now, and it's going to be my favorite T. Kingfisher book that I've read thus far. I can tell you that already, that is going to be the case. I'm still on the hunt for my 5-star T. Kingfisher book. I feel like it's out there. I don't know if it's this one, but I know it's out there somewhere, but I'm just gonna keep trying her books until I find one, I suppose. But Sword Heart, let's talk about it. Let me tell you what it's about. We are following our main character, Hala, who receives this inheritance from her uncle when he dies, which seems like it should be a really good thing. However, it is not. She married into this family, so they don't really see her as having a legitimate claim to any of the money. So they keep trying to get her to marry her cousin, Alver, and obviously she says no. So they get really mad and they lock her in her room for like 3 days until she relents, basically. So she's having an awful go of it. She is not thinking any of this is worth it. The money is not worth it. So she tries to end the situation by taking a sword off the wall and like plunging it through her, which sounds like it might be a little bit of a morbid way to start out a book, but I promise it is actually very humorous because she is going through some mental gymnastics to figure out how she like holds the sword and like falls on it at the same time. So she's trying to figure out how to accomplish that. Basically, she takes off her like shirt and whatever so the fabric doesn't get in the way, and then she unsheathes that's so hard to say, unsheathes the sword, and there's this flash of blue light. This dude just pops into the room and he's like, would you put some clothes on? So that is, you know, that's the meet cute, basically, because this is like a fantasy romance kind of situation, which I can definitely get into, and I'm liking it so far. So the guy in the sword, his name is Sarkis. He is a servant of the sword, I believe, so he like is the sword in a way, but he's also a man in a way as well. It's kind of confusing, but you know, if you read it, you get it. But he's quickly informed of the situation, so he rescues her and gets her out of the house, and then they hit the road because they are currently being sought after because she has all this money, basically. So that's kind of the point in the book where I'm at so far. Very much just set up things, but I'm really liking it a lot so far. I think the dynamic between Hala and Sarkis is going to be so good because Hala is a very curious person. She's asked him so many questions. And I mean, I can't blame her because I would do the same thing in that situation. If a man just popped into my room when I was trying to unsheath the sword, that's weird. But Sarkis is so over it. He's just so exasperated by all of these questions. And I feel like that exasperated, oh, you're so annoying kind of thing always turns into a good romance. So I feel like all of that's gonna be really fun. I also love a good like traveling story. It's always like my favorite bit of a fantasy romance book is when they go do some traveling. Like, I don't know, just something about them hitting the road, stopping in inns, having to, I don't know, maybe there's only one bed in the inn kind of vibe. Cheesy, but I eat it up every time, obviously. So I just think this is gonna be a very fun book and I cannot wait to get into it. I feel like it's been a minute since I've read some fantasy romance that I actually really like, so this one is definitely gonna be a book that I like, I can tell you that much. So that is very exciting, and I cannot wait to read some more of this, and I definitely plan on doing that today. So those are the couple of books that I'm hoping to read in this video. Now, as for my crochet project, this is the last thing I need to talk about in the intro, and then we'll get into it, I promise. My crochet project, I'm going to be starting a star blanket. I believe there's a challenge going around where you try and make this in 6 days. I don't hate myself that much, so I'm not making it in 6 days, but I want to start it. So I need to go do some yarn shopping today because I have a vision in my mind for the color palettes. I have selected, well, just like some of the yarn that I currently have. I'm thinking something like this, like blue, purple, and white. Basically something very wintry. So that's the goal. I want it to like kind of go with my blanket that I made earlier this year, but like not match it, you know? So I'm gonna use some of the yarn that I used in that blanket, but then I need to supplement it with other yarn. I feel it's gonna be a really fun project. I also love having something to do while I listen to audiobooks, so it will be kind of perfect. So I'll be talking about that in this video as well. I'll probably also take it to Arkansas with me, which is where me and Cass are going, and, you know, do a little crocheting at the cabin. How cozy is that? I'm so excited. Okay, no more yapping in this intro. We're just gonna get into it. I'm gonna read some Sword Heart. I'm gonna go yarn shopping later. I also have a dermatology appointment later, so I'm gonna, like, you know, just do all the things while I'm out. So with all that being said, let's just get into it. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I am gonna go do some reading. So I just did a little bit of yarn shopping, and I thought I would come back and give you guys a yarn haul, because why not? I'm very excited about the color palette that I've selected, because I knew I wanted to do like blues and purples, but I wasn't sure exactly how that was gonna pan out. But, well, obviously I thought it would look fine, but like I just wasn't sure like what hues, what, you know, tones of blue and purple they were gonna have. But I think all of these look really nice together, and I like that all of them are a little bit more desaturated, because I don't want this to be like a super saturated blanket, I guess. I want it to be very like wintry feeling, and I feel like winter is a very desaturated time of year, you know? So I feel like I picked up some good stuff. I have like these two purple shades, which I think are very nice, and then I also got this like icy blue color to complement it, and I think that'll look good. I don't know how it's gonna work with the yarn that I already have in my selection. I feel like I went in there very unprepared. I feel like I should have brought some of like small samples of the yarn that I have and like tried to match it. I didn't. I forgot to do that. Initially I was going to, but then I didn't, but it's fine. I'm just gonna see how this works with the yarn I already have in my collection, and if one of them doesn't work out, I'll return it and it'll be fine. And then I also got like a navy blue color. Here's the yarn I have. I feel like it'll be a pretty decent color palette, and I'm excited to start working on it. So I'm probably gonna do that when I go home. Like maybe. Like I do want to start listening to my audiobook for Days of Blood and Starlight and start working on this blanket. Ooh, wait, this is cute. I just noticed that the color of this yarn is crisp air. How perfect for my wintry blanket. I don't know if I want to start that or read more of Sword Heart, because I was still loving Sword Heart. I don't know. I will just see, and I will let you guys know tomorrow morning what I ended up getting up to. All right, hello. It is currently Saturday morning. I'm here with just a couple of small updates. I also have my Diet Coke. Obviously, you already know. But updates, yes. I have a little bit of a crochet update because I have started on my blanket, and I think it's looking very cute already, and I'm very excited to do some more work on it. I'm almost through all of the setup rows now, and at some point the pattern will just like repeat until you get to however big you want the blanket to be. I'm not there yet though, so I have not been listening to the audiobook because this has required a little bit too much of my attention. But whenever I get to that pattern repeat, then I'll start listening to my audiobook. But for now, I've just been like watching YouTube videos and stuff while I've been working on this, and I think it's really cute. I like the color palette already, but I definitely want it to lean a little bit darker than how it's looking right now, so the next couple of rows are probably gonna be darker colors. So I'm very excited to work on that. I'm probably gonna do a little bit of that this morning, so that'll be nice. Also, I want you guys to be very proud of me because I have woven in all the ends up to this point. Don't mind this though, this is just a piece of yarn that I'm using as a marker, but everything else, woven in, beautiful. I'm so excited. I've complained about weaving in ends on here before when I was working on my bigger blanket. You know the disdain that I and a lot of other people have for weaving in ends, but I'm just gonna do it slowly as I go, like every few rows. I will weave in the ends. Of course, I say that now and I might not do that at all, but hopefully I will. But yeah, there's the blanket progress. I think it's gonna be cute. I don't know who the hell is making this blanket in 6 days though. I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm gonna work on that this morning probably. But then in more exciting news, I do have a reading update because I have read some more of Sword Heart. I'm currently on page 220 and I'm continuing to enjoy this one so much, and I feel like this is definitely going to be my favorite T. Kingfisher book that I've read, although I don't really think there's a lot of competition because the other ones that I've read, not my favorite. I like The Sorceress Comes to Call a lot, but this one is just like leagues better in my opinion, and I'm having just an infinitely better time with it. So yeah, let's talk about it. Obviously, first of all, I love the dynamic between Hala and Sarkis and how it has kind of progressed over the book. Even at this point, I'm only like halfway through, but I love it already. Because in the beginning, Sarkis definitely had this very like, I'm exasperated with this woman all the time. She never shuts up. All she does is ask questions. But as the book has progressed, he kind of sees how she uses those questions in a very strategic way, and how even though she doesn't have a lot of like physical strength, she kind of has this cunning side to her that can very easily get them out of situations, basically by just yapping a bunch, which I think is hilarious. So he's kind of, you know, shifted his view on her a little bit. He has a lot of respect for her at this point that we're at, and you can definitely tell that Hala is also like slowly getting very interested in Sarkis, and I'm just so excited to see where things are gonna go with them, because as the book has progressed, they're just slowly realizing more and more that they're very into each other, and I feel like that's just going to make the tension also just rise more and more throughout the book, which I'm definitely very into. I like that, so I think that's gonna be really fun. I also have really enjoyed learning about the kind of religious climate that is currently in this world, because there are a bunch of different religions that are present. Hala and Sarkis actually ended up seeking out one of the religions to help them with getting Hala's inheritance thing. There's a lot of like legal things that have to happen, and the Temple of the White Rat, which is where they ended up going, deals a lot with legal matters. So they ended up going there, and a priest is coming back with them to Hala's hometown, and they're gonna like help her out with that and whatnot. And I think all of the religions kind of have a specific thing that they specialize in and can help people out with, I suppose, which I think is kind of cool. But mostly the religions exist in harmony. It's all good. However, there is this one religion that is called the Religion of the Mother that has proven to be a pain throughout the entirety of this book. Because Sarkis, Hala, and this priest whose name is Zale, they have been on the road going back to Hala's hometown for a while, and they have been harassed by these representatives. I don't know if they're priests exactly. I feel like maybe they are, of the Religion of the Motherhood, at least like 6 times. And it is for no good reason other than the fact that they like to exercise their power in very egregious ways. Because they're constantly asking to search the wagon, they're constantly asking why these people are on the road, and I get the feeling that they harass like every single traveler that they encounter on the road just because they can, which I feel like is a very interesting commentary on religion and how, you know, even though it can be used for good, and a lot of times it can also not be used for good sometimes. So I liked that a lot. I've also really enjoyed the kind of curiosity that Hala and Zale have had about Sarkis and his whole, you know, being a sword thing, if that makes sense. Because instead of just like taking it at face value when they're like, how do you do this? What happens when you go in the sword? He's like, oh, it's magic. But they don't really consider that an acceptable answer. They definitely look at it with a very scientific approach almost, which I think is cool. They are like essentially conducting these experiments, subjecting Sarkis to them, which is also very funny. But I just really like that they're kind of looking deeper into it, and they have a lot of curiosity, and they really want to know like why this works, and they're wondering how the sword powers itself, because even though it's magic, all energy has to come from something. So I've just really enjoyed how much it looks into that instead of just kind of excusing it as like, oh, it's magic. And there are just a lot of, you know, different aspects to this story that I'm really, really enjoying. Like, I'm so glad that I finally picked up Sword Heart because I'm truly loving it so far, and I feel like I will continue to love it. I definitely want to finish this up today. I feel like that is doable. Definitely gonna focus on doing that. But I also want to focus on working on my blanket a little bit because I do want to get through all of the setup rows. So I might work on that this morning. It's currently about 10 o'clock and I don't really have a lot of plans for the day, which is always okay with me. But I am thinking I want to watch another Studio Ghibli movie today. Maybe this morning. I don't know, watching movies in the morning feels wrong somehow. But I might do it anyway because I picked up a copy of The Wind Rises from the library last week. So I think I'm gonna watch that while I slowly work on my crochet a little bit. I feel like that could be kind of nice. Then this afternoon, I'll get into some reading. I'm gonna get into doing all of those things and I will come at you guys with an update later. Maybe I'll even start my audiobook for Days of Blood and Starlight, which you cannot see later as well. Who knows? Maybe I'm making too many plans for today. We'll find out. It's Monday. It is currently a beautiful, rainy, gloomy, perfect fall day outside, and I'm so happy about it. And I am determined to make today the coziest day I can possibly have because I've already done too many things this morning, frankly. Because I had to take my car to get the oil changed, then I had to do some errands, but it's all done. I'm back home, and I'm not leaving again for the day, and it's gonna be lovely. So yes, I have a lot of reading that I want to do today. I have some crocheting that I want to do today, but before I can get into that, obviously I have updates and such for you guys. So first of all, let me talk about my crochet because I have made quite a bit of progress on my blanket. I think it's turning out so nice. I'm so excited to work on it some more. I'm really liking how the color palette is turning out, and I feel like it's going to continue to just look really nice, and I'm very happy about it. I also like that it does still kind of go with my other blanket, but it's still different enough to where it's not the same thing. So yeah, the crocheting is going well. Big fan. Also, if you guys also want to try and make this, because I do think it is very beginner friendly, I'm using these tutorial video things that are done by Betty McKnit, and I'll link them down below if you want to try it. I feel like this would be a really good beginner project. I mean, I have lost count with a lot of these stitches, but I feel like I've made it work, and if you're more meticulous than I am, I feel like it'll be fine. But yeah, if you want to try it too, I'd recommend. It's kind of fun too, so yeah, there's that. Also, the other morning while I was working on that, I watched The Wind Rises, which was exceptional. I'm honestly sad that it has taken me this long to get into watching more Ghibli movies because I've definitely seen the big ones, but there are so many others that I have not seen before, and the more I watch, the more I'm like, why have I not watched these? Because they're all great. So I'm very excited that I have so many more that I want to watch. I think the next one I want to watch is, what's it called? Whisper of the Heart. I've heard really good things about that one, and I want to watch that one soon. So yeah, but The Wind Rises was surprising, but in a really good way. I feel like this one is a lot more serious in tone than a lot of the other Ghibli movies that I've watched. I didn't even realize this is rated PG-13, which obviously isn't like crazy, but it's just not exactly what I expect from a Ghibli movie, but I really enjoyed it for that reason, because I still think it maintains that iconic whimsy that all Ghibli movies inherently have, while kind of touching on some darker topics a little bit, because you're following our main character from a very young age. I don't know if you guys wanted my movie review, but I'm gonna give you my movie review because I really liked this one. You're following a main character from a really young age. He's really into aircraft design, and you're following him as he grows up and he becomes an engineer, and he's like a genius at designing aircraft stuff and whatnot. And I feel like this movie is really a love letter to engineering and to flying things, basically, that Miyazaki is like obsessed with, because there are so many flying things in his movies. Also, I feel like if you're an engineering student, you should really check this movie out, because even though I don't feel a burning passion for engineering, I still enjoy it. And I've taken a couple classes on aircraft design before, and there are a lot of times when he's doing like calculations. You can see the calculations that he's doing. I'm like, oh my god, I've done some of these before. So I thought that was kind of cool. So that's all well and good, but the movie in the second part definitely takes a darker turn. I feel like it's a very tragic story in a way. It was a really good movie though. It also has like a very cute love story in it as well, and it was just a beautiful story, like heartbreaking, tragic, very poignant, I would say, but it also maintains that Ghibli whimsy to it, so it just was very much not what I was expecting, but it was really, really good. And I'd recommend if you guys thought that sounded interesting. But then I also watched another movie last night, which I don't know if you guys are sick of the movie reviews, but this one's gonna be quicker, because I did watch Your Name last night, which I'm pretty sure Brandon Sanderson has stated was like one of the inspirations for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which is one of my favorite books of this year. So I've been wanting to watch this one, and after watching it, I'm like, yep, that makes a lot of sense. That it was one of the big inspirations. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. The animation was obviously beautiful. I liked the story. It wasn't like a favorite movie or anything. I feel like a lot of people really, really love Your Name. I've heard a lot about it. But I liked it. I thought it was good. And I'd recommend if you also liked Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. But movie reviews aside, I do also have some reading updates, because I have finished up Sword Hearts. Guys, it's not my 5-star T Kingfisher. I don't know if there will be one, honestly, at this point. I feel like her books always start out so promising, but then when I get to the end, it's just not my 5-star read. You know what I'm saying? This one was definitely my favorite one of hers that I've read, though, that's for sure. Like, it is miles ahead of the others that I've read as far as my enjoyment goes. I just feel like the second half of the book did not have the humor, did not have the banter, did not have the kind of adventurous, well, I guess it was pretty adventurous, but like, it just wasn't quite as good as the first half of the book for me, which pains me, but I still really, really liked it overall. So it's like close to a 5-star, but I cannot give it a 5-star, which is upsetting. However, I did really like the journey that these characters went on. I really enjoyed Hala's kind of character growth over the course of the book, because in the beginning she is, you know, just this housekeeper who is very not appreciated by her family, and they all kind of hate her, and she doesn't really stand up for herself or speak out against anybody in any significant way. But then by the end of the book, you know, she's gone on all these adventures, and she's faced all of these things, and she's learned that she has power in her own way. And I liked that. I thought that was good. I also did really enjoy the romance. I thought it was very fun. I also really enjoyed the fact that these characters were a little bit older. Obviously, in a lot of fantasy romance, everybody's like really young and really hot. And you know, sometimes that's fun. But it is nice to see something different going on with fantasy romance, so I enjoyed that. I also really, really liked the fact that there were so many different creatures in this world. And they were creatures that I have literally never heard of ever. Like, there were these weird jelly sheet things that flew in the sky, which I know does not sound intimidating, but like, the situation that our characters were put in with these was definitely intimidating. And I just thought it was so creative. And there were a couple other things like that as well, which I was just like, I don't even know what this is, but I love it. I also really enjoyed kind of the group of characters that we ended up following. In the beginning, we were primarily focused on Hala and Sarkis, which I do think I kind of preferred. I kind of liked getting more of their like the bantery fantasy romance thing going on, but in the second half of the book we ended up following both of them, as well as this Knoll, well, I don't even know what the hell a knoll is still, honestly. But his name was Brindle, and I really liked him. And then they also had this priest that was along with them as well, whose name is Zale. And I loved what Zale added to the story. They were just so unexpected. Like, they were a priest, but they were also, like, kind of down with murder. If it was the practical thing to do, they were okay with it, which I thought was hilarious. Like, there's just so much humor in this book that is absolutely ridiculous, but I live for that kind of stuff, honestly. Like, give me a fantasy romance book with some comedic elements to it, a little bit of an adventure to it. I'm usually into it. And I definitely will be reading the Saint of Steel series, I think is the name of it, because the paladins that I believe are present in that were present at the end of this book as well, and kind of getting a small glimpse into what they're all about, I enjoyed. And I definitely would be interested in reading that series because I think it's also like a fantasy romance thing. Is it funny? Do you guys think it's funny if you've read it? I'd love to know because I love some silly goofy fantasy romance. Okay, and that is what this book is. And I'm hoping that's what those are because I do want to pick them up. But I still really enjoyed Sword Heart. I sat down last night and I read 200 pages in one go, which is usually the mark of a good book for me. Not a 5-star, but like so close to a 5-star. I feel like this is honestly a problem I've been having with a lot of books, not like just T. Kingfisher books. But I feel like I haven't found a ton of books this year that I've absolutely loved. I've had about 6 or 7 5-star reads, I think, and one of them was my reread of The Final Empire. So I don't exactly know. Maybe I'm just not picking up the right books. Maybe my reading taste is changing a little bit and I'm just not accounting for that. I'm not sure. I need to think about it. I need to stew on it a little bit. And then hopefully I will get more 5 stars in 2025. We will see. We will see. Maybe 2024 was the year of 4 stars and 2025 is the year of 5 stars, you know? If that's the case, I can't wait to see what 2026 brings, so. Yeah, I finished up Sword Heart and then doesn't stop. I also started Days of Blood and Starlight. I listened to the audiobook for this while I was crocheting. And I'm on page 108. And I'm liking this. I will probably continue the series. I'll definitely finish this book. I'm kind of interested to see what's gonna happen. But I just don't know if I love these characters and I don't know if I care enough about the plot to like really get into it. I'm definitely slightly interested in what is going on in this world because there's this whole war going on between the Chimera and the angels. And I like that it's kind of taking what you would expect angels to be like and kind of flipping it on its head a little bit, but I just don't know if this is the series for me, you know? I want to love it so badly because it's Laini Taylor, but I just don't think I do. But I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna keep listening to the audiobook. I must say though, I do love Karu's friend Susanna. She is so funny. I love her and I love any chapter that we get to kind of see her. This book is being told in like 3 different points of view kind of, and she is kind of one of those points of view. So getting a little bit more from her I like. But the rest of the story, I just don't know. I think my main problem is that book 1 uses a trope that I dislike immensely, but I just feel like it lessens my enjoyment of the characters that we've been following, I suppose. And I don't know how better to explain that, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But I will continue to listen to this. Maybe, I'm only 100 pages in as well, so maybe I will get a little bit more invested in it as I go along. So we'll see. We'll definitely see, but that's being put on the back burner for today at least because, yes, I still have more to talk about. I'm gonna start a new book today. I'm not gonna start Ariadne though. I'm probably going to push that book to sometime later this year maybe because this cold, rainy, dreary day makes me so desperately want to jump into some fantasy. And while Ariadne is fantasy, in a way, it's not exactly the fantasy that I want because I really want to jump into an epic story right now, you know? So I'm thinking I kind of want to jump into the Sword of Kaigen, which I'm very excited about. I just mentioned this in my end of year book tag and a lot of you guys were either saying it was like so good or a lot of you were saying that you want to read it. So I'm taking that as my sign to pick it up myself. And I just feel like it's the perfect kind of book to pick up on a day where I don't want to go outside anyway. So why not read a lot of this and explore this new fantasy world, which I'm very excited about. I've been so hyped about getting to the Sword of Kaigen recently, so I feel like it's time that I finally do it. This is my only plan for today, so let's get into it. Yeah, I just got us centered. Hey.
Hey.
Look who's here.
I'm here, hello.
I'm not gonna do like a major update right now. I've got like book updates and such, but I'm not gonna do that at this moment.
There's a more pressing matter to attend to.
Well, mainly we're leaving in like very soon.
Right
to
after
like
this.
hit the road to go to Arkansas, which is very exciting. But Cass gave me some gifts before we left, and I just need to show you this one specifically. She got me these things too, which are, you know, cool.
Come on, the cat playing the trombone
Actually,
is
this one
something
is-
noteworthy.
Obviously, I jest. They're all cool, but like, look at this little cat. It's so cute. Wait, it's got a little crown.
It's so funny.
This is so random.
I know.
I love it. But this thing, she really hit it out of the park, because look what I am now the proud owner of. It's the Fairy Loot edition of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I'm so excited. I've truly wanted this book for so long, but it's always so expensive. But Cass apparently found a deal.
For a bargain.
A bargain. We all know how I feel about a bargain, so I'm so glad she got it for a bargain.
With like minimal searching. I literally went on Mercari and found it immediately, and I was like, you're coming home with me.
But it's so beautiful. Like, first of all, it's got like a little change in the colors, whatever. Sprayed edges. We have Under the Dust Jacket. Stunning. Beautiful. And it's also got end paper art. Look at them. Wait, stop that. Just
You're trying to hide behind it to like make it focus.
I love them. Oh, thank you again so much, Cass.
Of course, that was her 100K present.
This
from
is
me.
crazy, honestly. Like, top tier gift. It's like, it's not like I talk about it all the time or anything. But that's literally all I had to say in this update. I just wanted to show you guys that.
To Arkansas.
To Arkansas!
To Arkansas!
Thank you.
It really is.
I was like, what?
You would have been little too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think my sister got cake, so
Oh,
say
the-
your goodbyes.
The panorama.
All right, hello, good morning. I feel like my voice sounds weird, I don't know why. It's Monday morning, and we have a lot of things to talk about. Because the last time I talked to you was Thursday morning, so it's been a while. Cass was here, obviously. You guys know, you just saw. But a lot of things have happened since the time I last talked to you. I have finished 2 books, I worked a lot more on my blanket, and me and Cass went to Arkansas, which was so fun because she ended up arranging a little like surprise situation for me where she invited 3 other friends to come and stay with us, and it was like a 100K celebration, which I might cry just thinking about it because that is one of the nicest things anybody has ever done for me. But it was so much fun because she invited Mackenzie, who I've talked about a few times. She has a YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. But me and her have quickly become friends this year, and it was so nice to finally meet her in person because she does live quite a ways away from me. And then she also invited 2 of my really good friends from college, Caroline and Elaine, so that was very fun as well. Also, I've talked about Elaine a lot. You guys should know who Elaine is. But it was so much fun to hang out with all of them for a couple of days. They also got me a cake, which is insane. I'm still so shocked by just the lengths that Cass went to prepare this whole thing for me. So I've told her thank you like a million times, but I know she's watching this, so thank you again, Cass, for such a lovely little weekend. But we got up to some fun things because we went on a little bit of a hike. We went to some of the shops downtown in Eureka Springs, and I love that place, honestly. They have so many like very niche shops there, and it was so fun. They had like a video game shop. They had like an action figure-y kind of shop. That's where I got that little Totoro blind box from, which I've never done a blind box before, or like bought one. I don't really know if there's much doing with the blind box because you just open it. But that was really fun because I wanted like a little Studio Ghibli figurine for my bookshelves, and I got one, so that was cool. But then the fan favorite, the fans being all 5 of us, was the bead shop. That place was so cool. I loved it so much, and then we went home and we made some little charm bracelets together, which was so much fun, and I thought I would show you mine. It kind of looks like all of the other charm bracelets that I've made, but in case you want to see the new vibe, here's what we have going on. It's kind of like a Regency historical, okay, do not focus on my face, like a Regency historical, half a soul kind of vibe, because we've got the scissors, we've got like a little teapot. I don't know. I just thought it was so cute, and maybe I'll wear this for the rest of this update. So that was all really fun, and then while we were making our charm bracelets, we watched a bunch of movies. We watched Twilight again. Guys, I think I've seen Twilight at least like 5 times this year, and I think I need to not watch Twilight for quite a while. Honestly, not that I don't love it, but I feel like I've had enough Twilight for the year. I'll watch it again next year, and then it'll be better that time. Then we watched How to Train Your Dragon, which Cass and Mackenzie really love, but the rest of us hadn't seen it, and it was so cute, honestly. I don't love the DreamWorks animation, but I loved the story so much, and I heard from Cass and Mackenzie that the animation gets better as the movies go on, so I definitely want to continue watching them. My favorite part though obviously was Toothless. He is so freaking cute, and he reminds me so much of Poppy, my cat Poppy, because he's all black and he's got this like giant green eyes, but it was really cute and I did really like it. And then we also watched Pitch Perfect because the place that we stay at had like 5 DVDs that were just already there, and they had Pitch Perfect. So we watched that and it was super fun. I haven't seen Pitch Perfect in so long, and I don't know why, because it's just so funny. It's so good. I just had such a nice time doing that as well. And then we all went home, but it was just so fun. I just had such a lovely weekend. Also, Arkansas is so beautiful this time of year. I think it would have been even more beautiful a few weeks earlier, but it was still really nice. And you know, the rolling hills with the kind of burnt orange trees going on. I was obsessed. It was so pretty. And the place that we stay at had such a lovely view of said rolling hills. Honestly, this has been one of the highlights of my year. It was just so lovely, and I had the best time. So yeah, that was great. I don't know if you guys care, but I wanted to give you a recap because I feel like I didn't end up really filming a lot because I haven't seen, and I don't really see any of these people very frequently, so I just wanted to hang out with them. But I did film while we were downtown, so that's, for the most part, all that I have, but I don't even care. I just wanted to enjoy the moment and hang out with my friends, so it was lovely. Big fan. Anyway, that long update aside, I have even more long updates, so this is gonna be just a long update overall because I have a lot of books to talk about. Because I've finished 2 books and I have started Sword of Kaigen, which I still haven't talked about. So let's talk about those now, shall we? The first one being Funny Story, which I have finished in its entirety. Me and Cass did listen to the audiobook together while we were driving down and back to and from Arkansas, which was a really fun experience, honestly, and if we ever do a long road trip again, I would, well, not that 4 hours is like that long, but you know, like extended, I would say. I would want to listen to another audiobook because even though we didn't talk too much, we were still able to share some thoughts and such while, you know, the audiobook was going on, which was very fun. And I also just really ended up enjoying Funny Story. It has definitely redeemed Emily Henry in my eyes because I thoroughly enjoyed this one. And I think the main reason for that is the fact that I didn't dislike any of the characters, which is always helpful when you're reading a romance book. I just did not like any of the characters in the other 2 Emily Henry books that I've read, but these 2 were so good and I loved them and I loved the romance and I was just so invested in it the whole time. But if you guys don't know what Funny Story is about, even though maybe you do because it's like, everybody loves Emily Henry. But basically you have our main character Daphne who's about to get married to this guy named Peter, and at his bachelor party he ends up confessing his feelings for his best friend Petra, and he leaves Daphne, kicks her out of the house, and is like, sorry, me and Petra are like in love and I don't need you anymore, basically. So Daphne gets broken up with, but then Petra also had a boyfriend whose name is Miles at the time, and obviously they broke up as well. So Daphne somehow ends up moving in to Miles' apartment because she doesn't have a place to stay. At first, you know, they were roommates, but obviously as they get to know each other more, feelings develop. There's also a small element of fake dating in this story as well because they end up getting an RSVP to Petra and Peter's wedding, which, like, the audacity of them to do that, absolutely insane. But they do end up RSVPing and they're like gonna pretend that they're dating to, I don't know, stick it to Peter and Petra. They deserve it, I'd say, but honestly, the fake dating is definitely a part of the story, but it's not quite as big of a part of the story as I was expecting it to be. But I kind of liked that in a way because obviously in no realm of the imagination is fake dating an actual plausible thing that could happen in real life. I mean, maybe it is, never say never, but obviously very much like a only romance book kind of thing that happens. But I feel like it was done in a way that would make sense for real people to do if they were trying to make their exes jealous, basically. So I feel like it was very real in that aspect, I suppose, which I just kind of liked that, as opposed to like the big over-the-top lying to everybody that we're dating kind of thing. It was kind of just for show for Peter and Petra. So I liked that small part of the plot. I also just really enjoyed kind of diving into the backstories of these 2 characters as well, because this one definitely delved into the backstory of Daphne's relationship with her father and how that has kind of, you know, left lasting impacts on her from her childhood and how that is then impacting the relationships that she's making in life now. And I feel like you also kind of get a little bit of that with Miles as well, not quite to the extent that you get with Daphne, but you also kind of go into his kind of complicated past with his parents, and then his sister also comes into the book at some point as well. And I just really liked how all of that allowed you to know the characters a little bit better, but it still did focus on the romance, and the romance was so cute. I loved Miles as a romance interest. I've heard a lot of people kind of compare him to Nick Miller from New Girl, which I 100% agree with that comparison. It's so accurate because I love New Girl. Even though Jess gives me such intense secondhand embarrassment, I love the rest of it so much that that's okay. I also think that's kind of the point. But I just really like that. I thought the relationship was so cute. And I also really like the side characters that were in this book as well, such as Nick's sister Julia and Ashley, who is a friend that Daphne's been kind of making throughout the book. Because another focus of this is Daphne kind of reflecting on who she became when she was in a relationship with Peter and how she kind of assimilated to his life because she moved where he was living. She became friends with who he was friends with, and she didn't really feel like an individual person. And once they broke up, she was kind of left with not a lot going on really. So seeing her kind of venture out on her own, try and make new friends as an adult, I just really enjoyed that part as well. And this was just such a good book. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm so glad that I gave Emily Henry another try. I will probably read whatever the next one that's coming out. I'm sure there's one that's coming out next year, and I'll give it a try. I probably won't read Happy Place though, or Book Lovers for that matter. But whatever the next one is, I'll probably pick it up, and I will probably pick up a paperback, A Funny Story, when it comes out, because I would reread it. I really, really liked it. But the reading updates don't stop there, because I have also finished Days of Blood and Starlight. I finished up the audiobook for it last night, and I'm also very happy to let you guys know that I really enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I was going to. I know a couple of days ago the update I gave you guys wasn't super positive. I feel like I just needed to give it more time to get reacquainted with the world and the characters and everything that's going on, but once I got further and further into the book, I was like, no, actually this is really good. And I really ended up enjoying feels like the wrong word, because I would say for a young adult fantasy, this is rather dark. By adult standards, it's not anything crazy, but I think for a young adult book, it's definitely more than I was expecting, because there is a war going on between the angels and the chimera, and based on the different points of view that you're getting, you kind of get perspectives from each side, and you kind of get to see very in-depth what exactly is going on both sides of the war and how they're both treating the other side and the atrocious things that they're doing. So there's a lot of that going on in the book, but I really liked how all of that was done. Also, as the book progressed, I just really enjoyed all of the points of view that we were getting, because there are kind of three main points of view that we are following in this book, but then every now and then you do kind of take a step away from those and jump into the heads of some other people as well. And I just really enjoyed how that rounded out the story and how you were able to get even more insight into some of the things that were going on that you don't exactly get to see from the main points of view. Also, there were a couple of very important things going on at the end of this book that definitely changed the course of this series, and it makes me so incredibly intrigued to jump into the last book, because I think what happens shifts the dynamic a lot of the things that are going on and kind of the state of the war that's going on. So I'm very excited to jump into Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I think that's the third one. I want to do that somewhat soon. I'm thinking maybe early 2025, because I think part of my problem with this book was that I waited so long since the first one to read it. Like, a year's not crazy, but a year is a pretty long time to kind of jump back into a series and kind of just hope that you get back into it. So early 2025, I'll probably put Dreams of Gods and Monsters on my 2025 TBR. This one was on my 2024 TBR, so I am happy that I got to kind of tick another one off. But seeing as this is the second book in the series, I don't really know what else to say about it, aside from the fact that I'm really glad that I finally picked it up. Also, I did listen to Days of Blood and Starlight completely on audio, and while I was doing that yesterday, I've made so much progress with my blanket. Look at that, it like fills up the frame now. I'm so excited. But at the point that I'm at now, these rows are each taking me so long because it's getting so big. But I want it to be even a lot bigger than this, because I want it to be like a normal blanket size, you know? But honestly, I'm really loving this pattern, and I really love just the process of making it. I feel like with my granny square blanket, as, you know, the days went on, I was like, good God, make it end. I was just so tired of making granny squares, and then when I got to the end of it, I had to connect them, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. But with this one, I'm just really enjoying the process of this one. I feel like it's just a fun blanket to make. Cass also started making a kind of star blanket. We stopped at Michael's on our way back from Arkansas, and she picked up some yarn. So she started making it, and I think she's really liking the process as well. So if you guys want an easy and kind of fast blanket to start working on, I'd recommend this one. Again, I'll leave the kind of pattern video thing that I'm using down below. So I wanted to give you guys an update on my blanket because it is coming along nicely. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to say this right now, but I'm thinking I might try and do it in other colors like next year, because obviously I kind of want it in fall colors. Not that I don't love the wintry color palette, but imagine it in like oranges and greens and browns. Kind of a vibe, probably. I mean, I don't know, but it's honestly like coming along very quickly, so I might make another one. That might be kind of fun. I feel like you can never have too many crochet blankets. Well, actually, I feel like you definitely can, but I just want to give you guys a quick update on that. And then finally, I don't think I'm going to give you guys a proper update on this right now. I will probably wait until I film the outro later to give you full thoughts on this, because I do want to read some more of it before I give you like full thoughts and whatnot, but I have started the Sword of Kaigen. I did not forget about her. I made it to page 95. I read all of that the first day I said I was going to, and then I haven't picked it up since because I have been a little bit busy since. I didn't read a single page while I was in Arkansas, which is totally fine by me because I had more pressing things to do while I was there. I didn't want to like spend a bunch of time reading when I only get to see a lot of these people like a couple times a year. But today I want to do some reading because it is a beautiful, gloomy day. I feel like I say this every time. I feel like I talk about the weather too much in my vlogs, honestly. But it's nice and gloomy. I think it's going to be sunny this afternoon, which is gross. But for now, it's nice and gloomy. And the tree in my backyard is in full peak color. It looks beautiful. So I'd like to do a little bit of reading outside, which is probably what I'm going to do this morning while I read some more of Sword of Kaigen. I feel like 95 pages still is not enough to give like a proper update on it because I still very much feel like we're in the setup phase. But I have a lot of thoughts on it so far, a lot of good thoughts on it so far, so I just want to read a little bit more. And then in the outro, I will give you final thoughts and whatnot. So that's kind of the plan for the rest of this video. I think I'm also potentially gonna update my journal. It's been a while since I've updated like my actual reading journal. And it's been a while since I've written in my Hobonichi. I'm not with it these days. But let me just tackle the reading first, and then I'll see if I want to do some journaling. Quite a bit later. It's the same day though, I just changed so I could get a little bit comfy. I did thrift this a few weeks ago and I've been wearing it all the time. It's just so cozy, you know? Anyway, I did not really end up reading a lot of the Sword of Kaigen earlier. It got way too cold to be outside for too much longer because it was like 35 degrees. At first it was nice because it's very hot in my house most of the time. So going outside, I was like, oh, refreshing. The air feels bracing. The tree was beautiful. I was into it, but then I started to lose feeling in my fingers a little bit, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll go inside. So I only read like 10 pages of the Sword of Kaigen, but I figured that's fine. I will just continue this in my next video. So do not fret. I don't know if you were fretting, but if you were fretting, you will hear my thoughts about this later in December, so that'll be coming. But let's talk about it, because from what I've read so far, I'm really enjoying it. I don't exactly know what page I stopped on, because Winnie has again made off with my bookmark. I came into my room earlier and my bookmark was on the floor when my book was on my bed, but it's fine. She can't be stopped, truly. But so far in this book, we are following two main perspectives. The first one being a mother whose name is Misaki and her son whose name is Mamoru, I would assume is how that is pronounced. And with Mamoru, we are following him as he is going to this like academy to learn how to use magic, basically. I do think the magic in this world is really cool because it's kind of elemental magic. The back of this book says the Poppy War meets The Last Airbender, Avatar The Last Airbender. But I believe everybody who has magic has a certain element that they can do things with, and Mamoru has like water magic, so we see him do a lot of things with ice, which I think are really cool. We've seen him kind of scale a cliffside using ice, where he like, you know, puts out some water, freezes it, unfreezes the other hand, and like slowly moves up that way, which I thought was kind of cool. And then there's also this like mythical blade thing that can be formed out of water and then ice as well, which he is trying to learn to conjure and wield, which I also think is very sick. And with his perspective so far, what we're kind of focusing on is this new guy at the school who seems to scoff a lot at the things that they are being taught, especially in history class, which kind of leaves Mamoru and you as a reader to believe that maybe they're not giving the people of this whole area the correct information. Maybe the government isn't telling them everything and is kind of using them for their own advantage by keeping them in the dark about a lot of things. And there's also whisperings that there is a war on the horizon that could potentially be hitting this peninsula. I think it's a peninsula. So you're hearing the stirrings of all of that, definitely setting up a lot of groundwork for what is probably going to be a war that's going to hit this peninsula. And you're kind of watching Mamoru grapple with the fact that maybe a lot of the information that they have isn't exactly the reality of what happened in the past as well. So I'm really interested to see kind of more about that, more about why that is the case. And then with Misaki, things have been a lot more domestic thus far, because she is a mother of like 4 children maybe, and we've kind of seen her hanging out with the girlies basically, but we have also gotten a lot of allusions to her past as a warrior. So I'm thinking as the book progresses, we're obviously going to kind of maybe see her get back into it. I feel like at the point in the book that we're at right now, we kind of see her stuck in this role as a mother and not really feeling like she can do a whole lot more, even though she loves her children. I think later in the book, we're obviously going to see her kind of step back into that warrior role and kind of take back some control in her life as well, instead of just being kind of shoved into this box, which I think is also going to be really interesting, and I think it's going to be really cool as well. So I'm really excited by the groundwork that has been laid for this story. I feel like it's going to lead to a very epic kind of tale. As I said, I really like the magic system. I also really enjoy kind of the fact that this book really just drops you in to this fantasy world and is like, figure it out basically, because there are a lot of terms that they use in very casual conversation and you have no clue what they mean. There is a glossary in the back of the book, which I didn't realize until like 20 pages in. I was like, why are they saying these things? I don't know what they're talking about. And I have had to reference it quite a lot, really, because they have a lot of words for events that have happened in their past. They have a lot of words for the different types of magic users. I don't really think you can adequately ascertain what those words mean from context clues alone, so kind of going back and reading the glossary is very helpful, and I think as I go further into the book, obviously I will have to use the glossary less and less. But in the beginning, you don't know what's going on. They even have different words for like units of time as well, which those you can kind of understand what they mean, but I just think it's so fascinating, honestly, because they don't use units of time like we do, and there are conversions for what their units of time mean in Earth time, and I do like that a lot. It does make the world feel that much more unique and very immersive. So at the point that I'm at right now, I'm like, what, 1/6 of the way through the book maybe? I'm enjoying it, and I'm very intrigued to see where the rest of the book is gonna go. I feel like late fall, early winter is my favorite time to pick up really epic fantasy stories, so I feel like this is gonna be perfect for going into December. Also, Wind and Truth comes out in December, so once I finish this epic story, I will have another epic story to jump into. So I feel like I just have a lot of good fantasy lined up for the end of the year, and I'm very excited. So that's my small selection of thoughts that I have on the Sword of Kaigen so far. It's really good. I think it's gonna be really good going forward as well, and I cannot wait to read some more of it. So there is the Sword of Kaigen. But all that being said, we have officially arrived at the end of the video. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. Obviously, I had a really fun time filming it for you. I feel like I've read a lot of really good books in this vlog. All of them I have ended up really enjoying. Obviously, I read Sword Heart, which is my new favorite T. Kingfisher book. I read Funny Story, which is my new favorite Emily Henry book. I feel like authors are being redeemed for me in this video. And then I also read Days of Blood and Starlight, not a new favorite Laini Taylor book, unfortunately, but still really, really good. I would recommend looking up the trigger warnings for that book, though, if you are thinking about picking it up. And then I also started The Sword of Kaigen, so really solid reading went on this week. I really enjoyed all of these. Obviously, I would love to know down below if you guys have read any of the books that I've read in this vlog, or if you haven't, just let me know what you've been reading recently and if you've found anything good. Also, before we go, I would again like to thank Ana Luisa so much for sponsoring this video. Don't forget they are having their Black Friday sales going on right now, and I will leave a link to them down below. I would also like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you are ever looking for more content from me, that is also linked down below. Very excited for the December buddy read that we have lined up. We're reading The Raven and the Reindeer, as well as The Snow Queen, a little like tandem. It's not really a tandem read. One is just like based on the other, so it's like something new, something fun. So if you want to join that, we're doing that. But with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you're all having an amazing day so far. I'm sorry that this video is a little bit late, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. And with that, I will see you in my next one. Bye!